First World Bank. It'd bring back memories if I'd ever played Payday the Heist or Payday 2. Maybe I should correct that in the future. I do own them. But this one is technically the heist that started it all, where the original team behind Payday saw the Dark Knight's opening scene and went, we can make a game out of this! And, man, even with how rough Payday 3's been overall, this still holds up as a landmark of the franchise 3 games in. First World Bank is easily the largest bank area in Payday 3 for a heist, taking place in a much more golden version of the bank than in previous entries, but with some new connecting paths to give it a bit more variety, particularly in the stealth side of things. For the stealth approach, you can, and probably should, do the entire heist without masking up relatively easily, thanks to the help of an almost unique new thing in this heist, the Inside Man. I say almost because there was something similar with the red keycard favor in Rock the Cradle. This guy, whom you find by locating the white bear on his desk, will help you sneak into the vault area. But he doesn't want to get caught, so he tasks you with falsifying his log entries by entering the server room, which requires a QR code to enter regardless of your approach, unless you happen to get lucky with a vent that drops into it before the alarm goes off and closes all the vents. Once you've done that, the other things you need to do in whatever order you please is find a red keycard to enter the manager's office, or again, a vent that drops into the manager's office, to get a code for unlocking the vault. There's also a metal detector that you have to disable to get in, which unfortunately you can only do with the 4-color panel gimmick since there's no alternative to disabling the metal detector like in Houston Breakout. Honestly, every heist with a metal detector should have that, make it more satisfying for veteran players to mess around with. As it is now, it's not difficult, just tedious. You're also primarily doing it for your own sake because I don't see what metal the Inside Man might have on him. Speaking of, the last things he does to assist you are giving you some stickers to put on money carts for later, and walking as casually as possible to the vault room gate to help you open it. It can take forever depending on where things spawn. You put in the code from the manager's computer and he does the retinal scan. After that, he clocks out before he gets clocked off screen because of something I'll talk about later. That's not important right now though, since now you have to deal with lasers and randomized patterns like you're playing Resident Evil 4, just with less backflipping and theft of American money instead of Spain money. Once you're past the lasers though, you're in a secure area, and if you feel like you can mask up here in case you run into guards, but I wouldn't recommend it still. What is a strategy you can employ that I also don't recommend is opening one of the ATMs outside the main bank area to enter searching, since doing that causes all of the guards inside the vault area to check out the unsupervised winch, whatever that means. I'll get to why I wouldn't recommend that in a bit. In the vault room, there's a separate camera system as well, requiring a blue keycard to enter and take care of the camera guard in, though looping them works just as well if you ask me. You also need to grab a blue keycard for the vault itself, since it's locked in a similar way to the vault in Golden Shark, where you need to authorize the unlock at a computer and then scan the keycard on the vault to unlock it. Make sure not to get cocky and trip a laser at this point. Once you're in the vault, this is where those stickers from the Inside Man come in. By placing them on the money carts, they'll be moved by a staff member, off screen of course, to your awaiting van in the parking garage. You just need to get all the money from the vault in there in the first place, and if you went into searching, yeah, that's all of the guards! This is the risk you take when you don't supervise the winch. Of course, there's only one thing left to do at this point, and that's get out of there, and thankfully not the way you came in. No, the Inside Man authorizes an elevator for you to take to the parking garage stairs, letting you go down and drive away as if this was just another day and the bank didn't just lose a couple $1 million in cold hard cash. This sounds like a lot, and when you lay it out, it really is, but none of it is necessarily difficult on its own. When it's combined with the layout of the guards and cameras, though, it can certainly become much more difficult as it's more of a test of patience than anything else. Not that that's a bad thing necessarily, but it can also be done fairly quickly when you know what you're doing. The same can't exactly be said for Loud, though, as this is just a classic bank heist. You go in, scream at the civilians not to be a hero, and set up the drill to get to the vault room, with the parts either being in the server room or the van outside. During the drilling process, you also need to keep it fueled with oxygen tanks, as well as finding the manager's office, that since it's loud you can just shoot open, no need for a keycard, to disable a magnetic lock keeping you from entering. Once you're in the vault room, you employ a similar method to the first heist of Payday 3, No Rest for the Wicked, using thermite to burn through the roof of the vault and then loot everything. Unlike that heist, however, the distance you need to move to steal the bags isn't the entire bank and a street, since you only need to get the bags into one of the multiple vents inside the vault area itself, so you can pick them up later when the heat dies down. At least that's what happens when you're lucky. If you're unlucky with the RNG, you'll have to move the bags across the entire hallway you enter the room from and set up a zip line to secure them in Bile's chopper that you later escape with. This wouldn't be so bad as an escape if it didn't also require an obscene amount of forward and back and then forward and back and then go forward and back, then put one foot forward just to secure the bags. Doubly so when that forward and back and then forward and back and then go forward and back, then put one foot forward is interrupted by the nearly literal tidal wave of SWAT for transporting all 21 bags. It's made even worse when the forward and back and then forward and back and then go forward and back, then put 1 foot forward is doubled in a build where you can't carry 2 bags at once. This loud run took almost 40 minutes, and literally half of those minutes were caused by the forward and back machine. I checked. If you didn't have to suffer through the absolute tedium of exponential entropy for half of your heist playtime, your getaway is going to be the van in the parking garage. But how do you get there? With explosives on the bathroom wall to go into the neighboring building and then take the stairs down, careful not to be killed by the dozer from the elevator before you can even get downstairs. But once you make it to the van, you're home free. Well, assuming your team is with you and one person isn't weighed down by a minigun. I don't know why that would ever happen, I promise. That, though, is the end of the First World Bank in terms of summary, and it's as good of a heist as it was in Payday the Heist and Payday 2, albeit with some obvious adjustments to the stealth side of things, making this simultaneously one of the easiest and most challenging stealth heists in the game. Before I move on, though, remember how I mentioned the inside man getting clocked? Well, it turns out that the money the gang stole from the bank was connected to the Palatucci family, and that they'll try to fight back against the gang, starting by killing the insider. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about, and even if it is, it's not for this video. Anyway, this heist favors aren't exactly grand, though the one strange thing about them is that this is the only heist in the game so far to have 5 unique favors compared to the usual 4. Pretty much all of them skip a certain aspect of either loud or stealth though, so I can relatively speedrun through them. The most gameplay altering one is the Visitor's Pass favor, where the inside man gives you a fake VIP invitation to let you wander around private areas unbothered. It's only really useful in the front area before you go into the back to enter the vault. Staying in stealth, there's also a favor to just disable the metal detector entirely, which is as self-explanatory as it sounds. Unfortunately, those are really all the favors you get for stealth, as the other 3 are solely for after you trip the alarm. There's 2 favors for the thermite, one which has the thermite equipment and bags of thermite itself just sitting in an elevator, which also seems to keep cops from spawning in there, and this makes it so you don't need to go all the way to the front of the building to grab it, reducing the tedium. On the opposite end, and introducing more tedium for the potential trade-off of a faster heist, is the favor for more thermite bags, which is self-explanatory. You get more thermite bags. Lastly, in terms of favors, there's the favor to disable the magnetic lock, which keeps you from needing to abandon the drill for anything besides oxygen tanks, skipping the need to visit the manager's office. Overall, none of the favors are bad by any means, but they're just skips for things that otherwise pad out the heist, which is both a positive and a negative. In terms of what I'd actually change in the heist, though, there's not as much as you might think. Similarly to Turbid Station and Cook-Off, given that this heist had a good blueprint from previous Payday games, most of what I'd criticize is what's added and changed for this entry specifically. I will say, I enjoy the stealth for this heist. It's very interesting having someone who knows who you are and is actively helping you out instead of trying to rat you out. But man, I wish you would just shut up when I already know what the plan is. Sure, it can be funny sometimes to grab the flash drive for his log entries before he's done talking and run off, but why do we need to wait for his dialogue to pick up the stickers and then wait for him to walk down to the vault gate? He doesn't have anything metal on him, right? Why can't we just talk with him again after plugging the flash drive in and then he walks to the gate while you're getting the metal detector and manager's office stuff set up? That would save so much time and waiting. Speaking of the manager's office, I like the code gimmick, but man, I hate the manager's office specifically. I haven't talked about this yet, but each of the rooms in this heist can randomly be chosen to be the inside man's office, the manager's office, or just an empty office. Some of these offices are connected via vents and can be accessed in that way, but there are times where you have to find a red keycard with 0 alternative entry to the manager's office, and it's those times that I swear the keycard is the most impossible to find. It's either on one of the random desks in this massive bank area or on one of the upper floor guards, but good luck trying to find it without any sort of hint to where it might be. This is the most annoying part of stealth, even with the process of getting inside the vault itself, that pales in comparison to the scavenger hunt for the red keycard. On the loud side of things, I think I've already made my disdain for the process of moving all 21 bags from the vault to the lobby pretty evident. Really, why couldn't that also just be the vent you put bags in? It's not like they're secured in the van after the fact. Why is that different for the helicopter? Ah, well, at least I didn't need to actually go upstairs with the loot bags by just shotgunning the cash. That doesn't affect the value whatsoever, believe me. In all seriousness, this really should be the same secure method as the explosive getaway route, just with a different getaway part, and I guess you could still secure loot via the zipline, but it shouldn't be the only option. Considering just how many bags need to be moved in total, I think another option that could be applied to every heist is a new favor that you can buy similarly to the deployable bags, and that's a shopping cart. I'm dead serious, let me explain. Functionally, the shopping cart would be a way to transport as many bags as you can realistically fit into it, only being stopped by the game's bag throwing system. This would be something you can bring into other heists as well, potentially making something like No Rest easier to manage the bag moving on, especially for newer players. The downside to this would be whoever is pushing the cart doesn't have access to their weapons, because, they're using both hands for the shopping cart, and you need to be careful not to tip the cart over moving up and down stairs or the like. It's like the loot cage in Rock the Cradle specifically, since that's the only loot cage that the cops can steal bags from for whatever reason. The risks with this would be simple to understand as well. In stealth, it wouldn't prevent guards from seeing the bags similarly to how they function already, putting the heist into searching if they see you pushing around a cart full of duffel bags. In loud, the SWAT will just potentially push it over and spill all the bags onto the ground, as well as possibly stealing them, or you have to pick the cart back up and move the bags again. I'm putting this here now, despite getting the idea from the latest heist shopping spree, because all of the Year 2 heists have a similar issue of having way too many bags at once, probably because the skill to carry 2 bags at once was so popular. Besides the addition of a literal shopping cart that you can use in whatever heist you choose, First World Bank is a fun heist and a good reminder of the past while adding in some interesting changes for the stealth system Payday 3 thrives with. Really, stealth was and still is some of the most fun in this game with the notes it takes from games like Hitman for the unmasked stealth. Plus, this heist is free and there's nothing you lose for trying it out. It's a certified classic for a reason, Payday jank aside. Unfortunately, shortly after this heist release, the infamous significantly reduced investment statement was given for Payday 3, and thus future content would suffer despite the addition of the jacket character pack and baseball bat overkill weapon. But I'm getting ahead of myself with that. That's for next video. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I hope you take care.